Afternoon, sir. Great to see
Good
you.
afternoon.
How are you doing?
Oh, fine.
All good in home
During
side?
this
You
all set. These days were a bit busy because of this lockdown.
Mhm.
Have been at home and was busy studying, upgrading myself, acquiring new certificates.
Well, I
That's
can
how time passed.
I can see a lot of books behind you, so there is a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, that's a personal habit. I have a small library myself.
Okay.
The other rooms are also similarly stacked. I love reading, and therefore such things are there.
Okay.
Yeah.
For my listeners, Sumanta Ghosh sir has over 25 years of experience in training in education field. He's currently working with IITM. He's trained more than 15,000 people at different levels in schools, colleges, and business houses. He has over 3,500 years of professional training delivery experience. He has compiled 16 books for early learners of computers as well. So it's been
Yep.
a long and illustrious journey. Do you want to add anything to it that I missed or you want to highlight?
Yeah, actually, I got started as a trainer in 1991.
Okay.
To be precise, on 21st May 1991, the day our late Prime Minister Sri Rajiv Gandhi ji was assassinated.
Okay.
That was the first day of my joining in the job, and my job was to train people on IT in
Mhm.
the schools across this nation, and we did not have many books how
Mhm.
to teach computer to the children. That is where we got started with the R&D,
Mhm.
creating content, training teachers. So
Mhm.
in my job, I got started with training at DPS, Delhi Public School, Mathura Road in
Okay.
Delhi. And then later on, it was Lawrence School in Sanawar,
Okay.
Himachal Pradesh, and moved on to New Greenfield School, Saket, then
Mhm.
Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan in Hyderabad, and all such
Mhm.
public schools across the
Mhm.
nation. I have been traveling, setting up their computer centers,
Mhm.
training the teachers how to train computers to the student, and continued thereon. What happened in the journey was somewhere in between, we found out that we were not getting quality teachers to train students on computer. We needed a different breed of teachers, which we were not getting. So what we started was we opened a computer training unit,
Okay.
and it was called Indian Institute of Information Management. That
Okay.
is how the thing started. The whole objective was to train people on how to use computers and then recruit them into these schools where
Mhm.
we were setting up the computer center, so that there would be a constant supply of quality trainers
Okay.
and we could train them centrally.
Mhm.
That is how the whole journey started, and from there on it moved on into corporate segment,
Mhm.
to schools, to colleges, and later on when I came back to Kolkata, this was around 2002, when I returned finally back to Kolkata. There was a need from WBUT then at how we could train the students in campus to become ready for campus placements. There, a new journey started, training the engineering students
Mhm.
across multiple states how to prepare for campus selection. That is where we got in right from 1991, and
Mhm.
I still continue as a trainer. All my life, I have been into training only.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, any turning points in your career or any interesting anecdotes that you want to share that has happened over last 25 years?
See, there have been a shift way back in 1993. I remember 93 and towards there. We had this computer training center where we were training students to prepare for IT related jobs.
Right.
And suddenly in the globe, there was a demand for Y2K and solution providers for that. We needed
Yeah.
people who could use computers. And
Right.
India, being with its population, we were one of the choice from where these so-called IT professionals were taken.
Mhm.
Primarily, they were taken to retype computer programs in the Western world.
Yeah.
We had one student, I remember, Tawfiq Ahmed,
Mhm.
one of our best students in the center in Jamshedpur. We had a center in Jamshedpur then,
Okay.
Kalimati Road. So this student he was one of the best we had in as far as programming was concerned, and we were very sure that he would get through in a job interview. He went to Mumbai for the interview and returned back very dejected. What went wrong was that he was unable to express what he knew.
Okay.
And that day I took a promise, I will get this person ready for a job.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had the qualities, he had the skills. His only problem was he did not know how to express what he knew. And that got me started in the journey towards first training myself on soft skills, behavioral skills, developing my communication skill as such, and then imparting that to the students so that they could improve upon. So that was one major turning point in the career. Right from IT training, it was shift towards behavioral and soft skills.
Okay.
The next turn came, as I told you, when we got this requirement from Tata Steel. Uh, this was when the company recruited me as a person to train their teachers in a school. Tata Steel was running about 20 schools in Jamshedpur.
Okay.
And there were many teachers, and Tata's wanted to train the teachers on modern teaching technology, how to teach in modern times. They wanted to improvise upon that. And that is when we got hired. I personally got hired as a trainer to train the students, and this happened in a campus called Mrs. KMPM Inter School, Inter College, which is in Bistupur of Jamshedpur.
Okay.
The teachers were assembled regularly, and we had sessions with them. This started giving reference to other companies, and from there till date, a unique thing about IITM, our training organization, is that we don't have a sales team.
Okay.
And the multiple corporate houses that we have served, it's all through references, through word of mouth, one HR referring to the other and to the other, and so on and so forth. That continued and continued and continued. Today we serve more than 150 corporate clients, including the public sector units, Indian Oil, Bharat Petroleum, United India Insurance, to name a few. There are multiple banks where we are serving. But yes, that was a turning point when the corporate house wanted us to impart behavioral training, because it started with one student, changing him, then it came for the teachers,
Okay.
and the story and the journey for corporate started off. And the third turning point was when in 2002 and 2003 early, we got this call from WBUT Vice Chancellor. He called us, could you help us in getting the student trained, getting them ready for job through campus placement? That brought about a new change, a new model of training students to become ready for campus.
Okay.
Those were the three major turning points, I think, that happened in my career.
So I'll come to the behavioral part of things later, but we live in digital times, and I think you hinted on that. And especially in COVID times when you do not see people face to face, you are looking to do training sessions virtually. How has digital impacting the field of training particularly? How have you upskilled yourself on digital things so that you can train other people?
I'll tell you something. This is to share because we have been in touch and have discussed earlier also. I started imparting training via internet as such. Let's not take it as digital then. This was way back in 2007 with a team at Kuala Lumpur. They were a team of IT professionals from Hyderabad, Indians, but they had huge problem in their English. They were unable to communicate properly at client side. They were at client side in Kuala Lumpur. One team was in Singapore, and they had big problems with the way they spoke in English and with the way they were able to communicate with the client there. So that is where it got started. And then we had only Skype. I don't remember any other tool. I did not know about any other tool. So it was Skype. Using Skype, it was video conference, and we were taking classes. That's when I learned that taking class in a live classroom, geographically in brick and mortar model, is very different from conducting a session over internet.
Right.
You know, the people were there at their home,
Yeah.
post their job, after the job, they returned back. to the residents wherever they were. And I was in my office sitting here in India, and I had to conduct classes for them.
Right.
So quickly I had to learn how to get them engaged. And the trick of the digital world is that it has to engage participants. Otherwise, it cannot continue. You cannot just keep on giving lectures. Okay, some of them have used a webcam in front of the board and started writing in the board and conducted training. I've seen people
Yeah.
doing that. You can see such
Yeah.
videos in YouTube,
Yeah.
but they're not actually the digital classes.
Yeah.
Digital classes is not just about using the video conferencing facility
Yeah.
to conduct a class where you are there in one location, students
Mhm.
are there in another location.
Mhm.
That's one part. That's just using the technology to remove the geographical barrier.
Right.
But the model in which you conduct a training in the digital world is different. And yes, definitely, I had to learn, I had to adapt, I have to improvise. Because I feel that if you have to survive in this world today, you have to get into this digital platform. And digital platform will not be the same way. In this platform, you cannot be teaching in the same way that you did in your normal brick and mortar classroom. So you
Right.
don't have the students sitting in front of you
Yeah.
in the same classroom in a gap of 5 to 10 feet or maybe 15 feet
Mhm.
in a large classroom. So
Yeah.
here, since the distance was different and the model in which the students were there, that was different. So they were more relaxed in wherever they were, either in their office or their home or their residence or from hostels. So there, I have to get them engaged. And until you are engaging them in the digital world, it will not be a successful training. It would maybe a one-way lecture,
Right.
which people may attend out of compulsions, because
Yeah.
sometimes it is out of compulsion. You
Yeah.
have to attend company ne bol diya. It is from the company, so therefore they are attending it, but they are attending it physically. They have got the camera on and they are busy with something else. The mind is not there in the class.
Right.
So yes, we needed to do training. As I told you, I started way back then in 2007, and we have conducted training and regularly we are still doing it for students in Bangladesh, in New Zealand, in Nepal.
Okay.
And this is the way it has brought in more students. You see,
Yeah.
once the student find the classes more interesting,
Yeah.
they start participating. And again, it's the word of mouth
Yeah.
that has got us more business.
Okay.
It's not just about using the technology. As an instructor-led classroom we had,
Yeah.
wherein people will be conducting a class by lecture, the classic chalk and talk model.
Yeah.
Digital teaching is different.
Yeah.
And once you understand that, you are going to survive, which is something we are awaiting on a regular basis. One more thing which we need to understand is that the new generation which is there, they are more exposed to this digital world,
Right.
and they are always with this laptop and more of the smartphone,
Yeah.
where they've got interesting games. So
Yeah.
until you have something which grabs their attention in the class,
Yeah.
this digital model of training is not going to become successful. So
Mhm.
you have to learn ways how to engage the people who are constantly on smartphones, playing games, having fantastic animations, and that engrosses them. There are ways in which they can chat. So can we include interactions between the participants? Can we include an engaging game in the session? And that makes the whole big difference in the digital model of teaching.
I'll come to that gamification aspect that you touched upon, but I wanted to check on something. The era that we live
Yeah.
in, there is a lot of talk of artificial intelligence, and there is also a lot
Could
of.
you be slightly louder, Anand?
Uh, I was saying there is a lot of clamor for artificial intelligence globally, and what that entails
Yeah.
is there is also a fear of artificial intelligence taking over jobs. That is happening too. So some of the skills which as humans would still be lasting, I believe, in coming decades are in terms of soft skills where people can do teamwork or have leadership ability or being able to articulate. How do you see things panning out in coming decades, considering there would be lesser jobs for humans to do?
See, I have started noticing a trend which is evolving in the demand for soft skills from various segments in the society, not just the industry. All the industry verticals you can talk of, they are aware now, they are conscious now, and they are investing. They are seriously investing on their human resource to develop the human capital as such.
Yeah.
And it is more due to the fact, as I was just mentioning now, that people today are more involved with gadgets.
Yeah.
And the human communication, face-to-face interaction, that has considerably reduced. You see, during our times when we were young, summer vacation means all brothers and sisters getting together, playing in the garden, climbing up a tree.
Yeah.
Today, I see my next generation, my grandchildren, they are also enjoying summer vacation. They are in an AC room, sitting on the bed, all with their smartphone, and they're talking to each other over the chats.
Yeah.
They are physically sitting on the same bed, but talking to each other using the chat apps,
Yeah.
something or the other, sharing.
Yeah.
This has increased the demand of behavioral skills.
Okay.
People have gradually moved into passive model of communication, and the grammar of communication is also changing. The way the texting that is happening, even the grammar has changed. The model of communication is changing. So there is a demand of soft skills, and this is going to rise more and more. Now with the digital world coming more into play, post this COVID and the lockdown across the globe,
Yeah.
companies are thinking of having their staff sitting at home. Many are looking at it. We have just recently seen the news. TCS is looking forward to 75% of the workforce working from home even after the lockdown is over.
Yeah.
I think there would be many more who are getting into this model. If that is true, then there will seriously be a huge demand in soft skill training for people. AI may take over certain parts. AI may take over your logical reasoning capacity. AI may take over your model of controlling. So air traffic control may be taken care of by AI. The traffic signal on your streets may be taken care of by AI. The accident prevention of vehicles will be taken care of by AI. But when two people meet, what to say, how to greet, how do you conduct yourself in a meeting, those are the things which one needs to learn through the soft skill development. And that is going to rise day by day, because as more and more people work from home and study from home, because schools are also getting into that model where the need for brick and mortar infrastructure is reduced. Now with this COVID lockdown, we have understood that this brick and mortar infrastructure may not be required to a larger extent. It may be needed, but not in many cases. And people are looking at innovative way of opening schools and colleges where students can learn sitting at wherever they are, and they don't need to come to a physical building.
Yeah.
Similarly, corporate houses are looking at that, where they will have people working from home. The model in which people are getting hired and the job description, the definition of job, even that is going to change.
Yeah.
So there, somebody with better and collaborate and cooperate and work together, even though they are working remotely, and that is the big differentiator. Yes, there will be a demand. I agree with you. There will be a rise in the demand of office in the years.
Okay. So you touched upon the gamification piece, and since you are
But there is one more thing I would like to share.
sure,
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just sharing one more thing about this,
Okay.
which I wanted to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
That today, even the schools have realized the need for soft skill training to the students
Mm-hmm.
in order to prepare the students for life beyond campus. So they are in a cushioned life where many things are taken care of by their parents or school or colleges. You are not fully aware of the world beyond this campus, which is why very early, I think around 2004-5 is when we started working on a model, and we have created a typical program called Beyond Campus, a training on soft skills meant for students right from class 6 to
Okay.
graduation,
Okay.
level by level, how
Okay.
you could improve upon various life skills, so
Mhm.
that once you are out of these campuses on your own and you
Mhm.
have to survive in this world,
Yeah.
you are better prepared. And
Mhm.
that is needed. Way back early then we had started with this.
Mhm.
I think the demand for that is now going to rise much more.
Okay.
Yeah, you were asking something, sorry I interrupted.
No worries. So you mentioned on the aspect of gamification to ensure that there is an engaging content for people in the digital world. So as a trainer, have you looked at bringing out a sort of an app which has these gamification aspects that you can prescribe to certain business schools or to corporate world or in schools or colleges? Have you looked at bringing out your own digital asset in terms of a digital app with gamification?
As of now, what we are using are the ready apps which are anyway available through Play
Okay.
Store.
Okay.
Okay, yes, but when you get something off the shelf,
Mhm.
there may not be those customizations which you desire, and which is giving us the pinch, and we are looking forward to developing some app which would be more engaging. See, currently the apps that we are using, they are not exactly for gamification. Yes, it is a model of engagement. Having games or gamification through some app is a model of engagement. But there are many other ways of engaging people while you are there in a digital class. One of them is those quick response through apps.
Mhm.
So there are quizzes that come up. Even in Zoom, you have got those uh, polls that you can actually check in Zoom. That facility is there. But there are other apps which are giving you those free polls. You can actually show them live on screen, and students get to see how they are compared to the others. Who is answering in which model? So I gave a multi-choice question MCQ, and there are 25 participants. You get to see how many are selecting option 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so on. So those are something innovative. Those are something interesting. Yes, a customized app, depending on the model in which we are training, will definitely be helpful in the market, and there will be a demand now from multiple training institutes of having their own app which could
Yeah.
be customized, so that there is a way by which students can get more engaged. It
Okay.
has to be a blend of LMS,
Mhm.
so that there will be little bit of LMS and bit of those activities inbuilt. So that should be a space in which we can build in those activities to impart the training. You see, today the model of learning has to become experiential.
Yeah.
It cannot be those chalk and talk and theory. You have
Yeah.
paper based books, printed books, and
Yeah.
or PDF files which you study and mug up. You have to acquire knowledge, and the best way to acquire knowledge is when you experience it.
Yeah.
So can we give that experience to the students about some topic which we are teaching? And that would be what we talk of engagement.
Yeah.
It may not always essentially be about games.
Mhm.
Yes, there will be games, but games is one part of it. There could be other ways by which we engage students so that they learn, and they learn through experiencing,
Yeah. So I
which is
can
what will evolve very soon. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can cite a couple of examples. When I was in Germany doing my MBA, a
Uh-huh.
professor, accounting professor from Israel, he had created an app for learning uh, to help students get into the accounting practices. So it was an experiential app which was adaptive based upon how you solve problems and the difficulty increased. That was one example that I remember very fondly. The other was while learning German, I found Duolingo as an app. I don't know if you've heard of it. Has gamification levels at different levels of difficulty, and it was really something which was enhancing me apart from the classroom training that I was doing. So I was on lookout of certain different ways of learning, and these apps were really very handy in that sense for me.
I am not aware. I think I would need some guidelines from you for this. If you have
Okay,
already used something like this, let us get exposed. Maybe
sure.
we can look into it. Yeah.
So one last question, and that's more on the divergent side of it. In India, we still have a lot of clamor for traditional roles or traditional education, be it engineering, be it medical, be it doing an MBA and getting into the business side of things. Though a lot of other avenues have also opened up in recent times. People have started going into design, people think of journalism, people think of other careers as well, hotel management and other things. But as a trainer, what do you think is the best way to get somebody into a mode of saying, okay, I want to make a career out of something like this? And how and when should somebody be told at a school level, at a college level, that you are good in this, these are your abilities, and you will do the best in this kind of a career? How do you probably pass that information to someone? Where should this happen?
Uh, Let me tell you something. First thing we need to understand, and this is for the Indian mass, typically the subcontinental India. I'm talking of not just the country, the political one, the region, Indian subcontinent.
Yeah.
First thing we need to understand: career is not a job. One needs to understand this. A job is for sustenance.
Right.
Unfortunately, we have got these two mixed up. So whenever you are looking at a career, whenever we say career, people are looking at a job where they get in and they are happy.
Mm-hmm.
20, 30, 40 years of job, I get a salary and I retire.
Yeah.
That is not career. Every single day in that job where you got in because you need to earn money and you don't like it, you are dying.
Mm-hmm.
Can we teach people that you have to choose a career in a field where you have passion? Number one,
Yeah.
something that you enjoy doing,
Yeah.
because then the rest of the life you'll not be doing job, you'll enjoy and love what you're doing.
Yeah.
First part is that. Second is, you have to think how to serve people with your services. Find out a need of the mass and try to fulfill the need with innovative, affordable solution. That should be a career. So it is find a need, find an innovative, affordable solution and provide it to the mass. Do something which you love. If you can link, that becomes your career. Then you enjoy and money starts flowing in. You see, what happened in this country was that people are looking into getting into a job. So the students, which I have experienced, even I was a student one day in this country, and every one of us were studying to get into a job. The ultimate objective of the education was job. So somehow score marks, because parents are comparing. Usko itna mila, he has got so much. Why have you not scored so much?
Yeah.
So early in my life, I start finding shortcuts, which in other words we call cheating.
Yeah.
During exams. Okay, because I have the fear and the pressure to score high.
Yeah.
It is also in demand because many job recruitments have this as an eligibility criteria. Who you are, what type of person you are, what are your other qualities, we are not bothered about. We want to see how much you have scored. So basic cutoff is you should have scored X percentage of marks in order to be eligible to sit for this written test.
Yeah.
That has been the fear factor. So students are somehow looking at scoring. There's no knowledge acquisition. I don't want to learn, I don't want to acquire knowledge. I only want some printed marks on my mark sheet, first level. And then when I get into a job, forget studies, because my objective was to get into a job and I got into a job. And then every single day of that job, I am not liking it. Unfortunately, the new world is not going to be this. You cannot have careers like this until you are thinking about yourself, until you are thinking about providing services to people. You will not have a sustainable career. You see, you have to constantly keep on upgrading. updating yourself, providing new solutions to people, providing new ways of handling problems of people. And that is what career is all about. Somebody who's caring for people, if you have that care, your heart will guide you to do whatever is needed in order to bring smiles to the faces of those who are in difficulty. And that would be a career. This teaching has to happen early in the school, right from class 6, 7, when the formation of the mind actually starts. Up to class 5, let them enjoy. Let them have a great childhood, enjoy, have fun. And more than the students, it is their parents who needs to be taught that this is the new world. You cannot keep on forcing your son or daughter to become a doctor, an engineer, a chartered accountant, a lawyer. And those of them who could not get into these four, get into hotel management. Fifth, by default, if you're not doing anything, become a teacher.
Yeah.
Provide private tuition.
Yeah.
Either at home or you become a teacher in some school.
Yeah.
Can we look at this? We conduct career counseling sessions at school, which is complimentary from our side. We talk about 278 career options that are available today.
Yeah.
Most of it, the students and the teachers and their parents are not aware of.
Yeah.
People are not ready to leave the comfortable zone, the comfort zone. I'll get into a job. I'll do engineering. I'll get into a factory. I'll do this. I'll get into the. I'm studying law. I'll start practicing law, and so on. Just this, nothing more. And those who are getting into general studies, they know I'll become a teacher.
Yeah.
Can we change this? Because that is going to be the career options in the new world. In the coming days, that would be career. You have to have passion. You have to have compassion for people, love for people, and think how I can solve some problem of the mass.
Yeah.
If you love it, you don't have to bother about money. Money is secondary, it will start flowing.
Yeah.
Job, I repeat, is not career.
Yeah.
Job is there for sustenance. You may need it, you may not need it. Career has to be looked upon differently, where you love and enjoy every day of life. Life should be celebration.
Yeah.
That's what career is.
Yeah.
If you are not liking it, then it is not a career. It is slavery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head when you talked about compassion towards solving problems. So there is a lot of clamor that you hear, especially in big jargons of design thinking and innovation, that using empathy towards solving consumer problems that are out there. In my friend and family circle, I have come across two little kids who are still maybe in fifth or seventh class, and they draw and sketch exceptionally well. And I keep on telling their parents they can be good designers someday if they understand that what it takes to design and solve consumer problems, and that could be they can eke out a career into something like that, and uh, not pushing them into a field that their parents are doing. And they should not be pushed into something which they don't like, or parents should not force them to become doctors or lawyers as their parents are. So that's the whole point I was driving in person.
Yeah. If they love what they're doing,
Yes.
let that become a career.
Yes, exactly.
Eventually, they will do better than the others in that field.
Exactly.
Somebody who's into a job of designing just because they have learnt a Photoshop or a Corel Draw and does not have that passion from within cannot survive in the world of designing.
Right.
Whereas somebody who knows designing may not be knowing Photoshop. The way of acquiring the skills of using a digital tool, some utility, is easy. Once you love it, you learn it quickly. But if you don't love, you will be stuck up with that same old model, copying from here and there, and copy paste is what you keep on doing in your whole life. An innovative person is one we need, and innovation can happen only when you have got passion.
Exactly.
You love it, you'll innovate. You don't love it, you'll somehow continue. Find out what they did earlier, and I replicate that. That is not going to be a career option today.
Yeah, exactly. Great, sir. Great perspectives. Your insights have been really wonderful. I'm sure our listeners would love some of it, and I'll be happy to share any feedback that I get back to you as well. Thank you. Thanks for your time this afternoon. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. Yeah, we look forward to meeting again.
Yeah, sure, sir. Thank you. Bye bye.